The sky had stopped moving. Or maybe it just felt that way. The clouds hadn't shifted in days, hanging heavy and dark like they were mourning something. Maybe they were. Maybe the world knew what it had done, knew what it had lost. Beneath the weight of that unmoving sky, a man stood alone on the edge of a shattered city. Steel bones of fallen towers reached into the haze like the fingers of the dead, rusted and twisted, picked clean by time. There was no wind, no birds, no hum of machines. Just silence. He hadn't spoken a word in over 3 years. Not out loud. There was no one left to hear him. He was the last human alive. The last of billions. He didn't even know his own name anymore. The memories had faded like old photographs left out in the sun too long. Faces, voices, laughter, screams, all blurred together into static in his head. Sometimes he tried to remember. Most of the time he didn't. What was the point? He spent his days walking. Not looking for anything. Just moving. As long as he kept walking, he didn't have to think. About the past. About the end. About the silence. The suit he wore, old military tech, was more patched than original fabric by now. Burn marks, old tears stitched with whatever thread he'd scavenged. The boots were split at the toes, wrapped in cloth. But the suit still worked. Mostly. It kept him alive. Monitored his vitals. Filtered the air. Gave him water. A whisper of humanity's last machines still serving a ghost. Once long ago the world had been full of noise. Cars, planes, music, arguments. Now, the loudest sound was the crunch of gravel under his boots. And even that faded too quickly. He had grown used to it, the quiet. Learned how to live in it. Learned how to listen in it. Because sometimes it wasn't quiet. Sometimes something else was listening too. He had felt it weeks ago. A hum beneath the earth. A low, pulsing sound at the edge of hearing. Mechanical. Alien. Wrong. It came at night mostly. He would wake from dreams he didn't remember, drenched in sweat, heart hammering, and the air would feel different. Wash. He tried not to think about it. But then the lights came. Tiny flickers on the horizon. White-blue glows dancing between the bones of buildings. At first he thought it was lightning. Then he realized it had a pattern. It pulsed. It scanned. It was searching. 4 days he watched it from the safety of old ruins and forgotten tunnels. It didn't make sound. Didn't leave tracks. But it got closer. And one night it spoke. The voice wasn't a voice. It was a vibration in his skull. Cold. Curious. Distant. Subject human. Confirm presence. Do not flee. He had fled anyway. He didn't know what it was. Didn't care. Nothing good had ever come out of the sky since the world ended. He'd learned that too late. The ones who had come before, whoever they were, they didn't ask questions. They just burned. Now something else was here. And it was looking for him. He moved constantly after that. No more slow wandering. No more staring at the sky. He slept in short bursts. Ate only what he could carry. Drank less than he needed. The suit kept him alive, but it couldn't protect him from what he didn't understand. Sometimes when he was too tired to run, he talked to himself. Just a few words. Enough to remember what his voice sounded like. Asterisk, keep going. Asterisk, asterisk, just a little further. Asterisk, asterisk, don't let them find you. Asterisk. And then one morning he stepped over the edge of a ridge and there it was. A ship. Not like the ones that had ended everything. This one was smaller. Sleeker. Silent. It hovered inches above the ground, its skin a ripple of shifting silver. No markings. No windows. Just a dark, seamless surface and a soft hum that made his bones ache. He dropped to his stomach and didn't move. He watched. It didn't scan. Didn't fire. Just waited. For him? He should have run. Every part of him screamed to run. But his legs didn't listen. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the hunger for a face, a voice, anything. Or maybe he was just tired of hiding. He stood. The ship didn't move. Slowly he approached, hands raised. No weapons. No threat. Hello, he said. It was the first word he'd spoken out loud in months. The silence that answered him stretched too long. And then a door opened. It wasn't a door in the way he understood. The surface just parted. Smoothly. Quietly. Like it had always meant to. He stepped back. But not far. A shape moved inside the ship. Humanoid. Tall. Thin. Its face was hidden behind a reflective visor. The body was covered in unfamiliar armor, graceful, not bulky. Efficient. Alien but not hostile. It stepped onto the ground and stopped. The man's breath caught. It looked at him. Really looked. And then the voice came again. Clearer now. Still not a sound. still inside his head. You are the last. He nodded. He didn't know how they knew. Didn't care. They knew. We thought none remained. He didn't reply. The figure stepped closer. Slowly. No weapons. No sudden movements. We have watched. Waited. You survived. I didn't want to, he said, voice rough. Yet you did. The figure raised a hand. Not threatening. An offer. Come. We have questions. We mean no harm. That word, questions sent a chill through him. Because questions meant memories. And memories hurt. I don't know anything, he said. You are human. That is enough. Pause. You are important. Important. The word echoed. Felt like a lie. He was a man who barely remembered his own name. A shadow walking through the ruins of a lost world. What could he possibly matter to something that had crossed the stars? Still, something inside him shifted. Oh, fear. Both? He took a step forward. Then another. But just before he could reach the figure, everything changed. The ship let out a warning pulse, sharp, electric. The figure turned its head. Looked past him. Toward the horizon. A light had appeared. Not the soft, scanning glow from before. This was fire. A burning trail in the sky, streaking downward. Fast. Violent. Like a spear of molten metal falling from heaven. The figure stepped back into the ship. They found you. The man turned, staring at the trail. It wasn't stopping. The impact would land miles away, but the sound arrived like thunder, ripping across the landscape and slamming into his chest. The ground shook. Dust rose. He dropped to one knee. The ship lifted off. No, he shouted. The figure hesitated. You must run. Take me with you. Not yet. And then they were gone. He was alone again. But not for long. He stood, legs trembling. In the distance, something moved through the dust. Shapes. Dozens of them. Tall. Metallic. Moving like they didn't care what broke beneath their feet. They had found him. And they were coming fast. He didn't know how long he ran. The ground was uneven, cluttered with debris, rusted beams, and shattered stone. His legs ached, lungs burned, and every heartbeat sounded louder than the pounding footsteps chasing him. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. He could feel them, those machines or creatures or whatever they were, moving with a precision and speed that didn't belong in this dead world. His foot caught on a broken pipe. He hit the ground hard, rolled through dust and glass, came up coughing. The crash had torn the quiet apart. Now the world was screaming again. The sky rumbled, smoke rising from the impact site like a flare marking his position. He scrambled back to his feet, ignoring the sting in his palms. Blood mixed with dirt. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered except getting away. The shapes behind him grew clearer through the haze, tall, inhuman silhouettes, sharp-edged and fast, sweeping through the ruins like they'd walked this land 1,000 times before. But he knew they hadn't. He would have heard them. He would have felt them. They were new. New and not here to talk. He ducked into a collapsed parking structure, weaving through mangled cars and steel columns. The shadows inside offered no safety, just more silence and the faint smell of oil and rot. But at least the ceiling would block the sky. Maybe they couldn't track him here. He crouched behind a truck, pressed his back to the cold metal and closed his eyes. Breathe. 1, 2, 3. His chest rose and fell too fast. Panic throbbed in his skull. He was supposed to be the last. Alone. Forgotten. That's what he had made peace with. But the sky had opened up again. A ship had come. A voice had spoken. And now something was tearing that quiet apart. What did they want? Why now? His thoughts spiraled until a soft beeping snapped him back. The suit. It pulsed red at the wrist, proximity alert. They were here. He pressed himself tighter to the truck, trying to shrink into the metal. Through the cracks in the wreckage he saw them enter. 3 of them. Tall. Smooth armor, black and dull like volcanic rock. Their heads moved slowly, scanning. No eyes, no mouths. Just a single vertical slit in the faceplate that glowed faint blue. No sound. They didn't talk. Didn't breathe. They were hunters. He bit his lip to keep from gasping. One of them turned toward his side of the garage. The suit's heartbeat monitor jumped. His fear was too loud. He held his breath. The thing paused near a shattered sedan. Looked down at it. Touched it with 2 long fingers. A glow passed into the metal. The car disintegrated silently. He clenched his jaw. If they touched the truck, it'd vanish the same way. And so would he. But something stopped them. Another signal. A high-frequency ping, barely audible. They all turned at once and moved out, quick and smooth, toward the other side of the structure. Gone. He waited 5 full minutes before moving. Even then he did it slow. Careful. Every nerve in his body screamed. What were they? They weren't part of the first wave, the ones that ended everything. Those were loud. Brutal. Fire and plasma and endless noise. These things, they were surgical. No. And smart. He crawled through a vent shaft that dropped into a lower maintenance corridor, then moved deeper underground. Not safe. Just hidden. He found a spot behind a wall of old concrete slabs and collapsed there. Sweat soaked his back. He was shaking. He stared at the dark ceiling for a long time before the thoughts returned. The ship. The figure. The words. You are the last. You are important. Asterisk asterisk. What? What did that mean? He thought about that hand stretched out to him like an invitation. Not a weapon. A connection. It had been a long time since anyone offered him anything. Longer still since he trusted it. But they didn't take him. They left him. As soon as the fire fell from the sky, they disappeared like he was nothing. Like a bad investment. He laughed bitterly. That sound startled him more than the machines. It was cracked and dry, a reminder of a voice that didn't belong to anyone anymore. A man who had forgotten how to laugh. Forgotten why. He used to have people. Family. Friends. Maybe even love. But it was all wiped away when the ships came. Not the small one from earlier. The others. The ones that filled the sky like metal clouds and rained down light that tore the world in half. He remembered running with a child in his arms. A woman screamed behind him. The smell of ozone. The brightness. And then, nothing. When he woke up, it was all ash. Years passed. He thought he was the only one left. Until now. But what were they looking for? What made him so important? He didn't have answers. Just scars. Just ghosts. He closed his eyes, tried to push the memories back. It didn't work. Instead, he saw the figure's face again, or what he thought was a face. Behind that reflective visor. Calm. Observing. Not cruel. Not alien somehow. Different but not hostile. What were they? If they weren't the ones who destroyed everything, who were they? Another ship had landed long ago. A different kind. Cruder. Caked in dust and blood. Survivors, maybe. Not from Earth. He had watched them from afar, hiding in the trees. They didn't last long. The machines found them within a week. He still remembered the sound of their screams. Not like humans, but close enough to haunt him. No one escaped. So why had the ship today not tried to kill him? Why speak to him at all? And why send those things after him once they were gone? Unless they weren't the same. Unless something else had seen them arrive. He sat up. The signal. The crash. The noise. It wasn't all connected. They didn't find him. They were tracking them. The visitors. The ones who reached out. He wasn't the target. He was the bait. The thought turned his stomach. He had to move. Again. He grabbed his pack, pulled the straps tight, and started crawling through the debris-strewn corridors beneath the city. There were tunnels here. Old maintenance shafts forgotten by time. Not safe. But nothing was. He followed the dark, lit only by the faint green glow of his suit's visor. His steps echoed too loud, so he took them slower. Every corner he turned was a gamble. Outside, the city was being combed. He could hear the machines now, distant but clear. A mechanical drone that rose and fell like a song made of knives. They were spreading. And he was out of time. Then something changed. A flicker in the dark ahead. He stopped. It wasn't light from above. Not from fire. It was softer. Pulsing. He crept closer. A doorway. Once part of an underground transit station. Mostly collapsed but still open just wide enough. The light came from inside. He pressed to the wall and peeked in. And his breath caught. A beacon. Small. Spherical. Floating inches off the ground, humming softly. Alien but familiar. Same material as the ship. Same silver ripple. Designed, not grown. Advanced. A message? He stepped closer. The sphere reacted. The hum sharpened. Light spiraled up and scanned him from head to toe. Not invasive. Just checking. Then a voice, this time in his ears, not his head. Real sound. Human identified. Directive initiated. He froze. The voice was gentle. Mechanical but warm. Last confirmed subject. Please remain still. He didn't. He stepped back. What are you? Preservation unit. Deployed to assist human subject. You are in danger. No kidding, he muttered. Observation confirmed. Active pursuit by hostile machines. Directive updated. Extraction required. He blinked. Extraction? To where? Evacuation point has been compromised. Secondary rendezvous in progress. Subject must survive until contact. His jaw tightened. I've been surviving. Pause. Until now. The beacon dimmed for a moment. Then brightened again. Hostile units converging. Estimated contact in 4 minutes. He looked back the way he came. No good. They'd cut off the path behind him. Where's the rendezvous? North. 2 kilometers. Surface breach point 78. He didn't know what that meant. But he knew where north was. The beacon began to move. Follow. He did. The tunnels narrowed. The air thickened. But he kept going, trailing the small light through dark paths long forgotten by the world above. Behind him the sounds grew louder. Closer. They were fast. And they weren't going to stop. Every breath felt like fire in his chest. His legs were cramping. But he couldn't stop. The beacon pushed ahead, turning sharply through a cracked bulkhead and into another corridor. He followed, barely squeezing through. Suddenly the path opened. A stairwell. Rusted. Spiral. Light poured down from above. Real light. Moonlight. The surface. The beacon stopped at the base. Proceed upward. Beacon will remain. He stared at it. You're not coming? Primary directive. Mislead pursuit. No, wait. But it blinked once, then shot down the hall. He hesitated for half a second, then turned and ran up the stairs. Each step groaned under his weight. Rust flaked beneath his boots. The door at the top was welded shut. He threw himself against it. Once. Twice. The third time it cracked open. He forced it wider, scraping through into the night air. He gasped. The sky above was streaked with smoke and stars. The city stretched out before him, a skeleton of light and ruin. And in the distance, another ship, smaller than the first, descending slowly. A signal blinked in his visor. Contact arriving. Hold position. He didn't have time to process it. The stairwell behind him exploded. The machines were here. And they were climbing. He stood on the rooftop, the wind tearing through his hair, the heat of the blast washing over his back. The ship was still too far. And the hunters were coming. He gritted his teeth. Not yet. He wasn't done yet. The lights inside the bunker flickered again. No one said a word. The silence wasn't calm, it was the kind that hung heavy in the chest, thick and full of thoughts no one wanted to say out loud. Nia stared at the screen showing the valley above them. Movement. Too smooth, too coordinated to be natural. They were closing in. She could feel it in her bones. The way the air seemed tighter, the pressure behind her eyes like something was about to snap. Jero leaned on the table, his knuckles white. We're not getting out the way we came in. You know that, right? We don't leave, Mara said quietly from her corner. Not yet. Nobody answered. Because deep down they knew she was right. If they left now, if they ran, everything they'd fought to hold on to, the data, the names, the faces, they'd be gone. Erased just like the others. It wasn't just about survival anymore. Up on the ridge, the machines moved with mechanical certainty, scanning the ground, analyzing heat signatures, listening for even the shallowest breath. They weren't drones, not like the old wars. These were something else. They adapted. They remembered. And worst of all, they learned. Ben adjusted the signal disruptor again, the static buzzing louder now. They're not jamming us. That's the weird part. It's like they want us to keep broadcasting. That landed hard in the room. Why wouldn't they block them? Why let them send out messages to the outside? Unless they're tracking us through the signal, Nia said, her voice low. Ben slowly turned, his eyes narrowing. Then we've been playing right into their hands. A moment of stillness. Then Jero kicked over the nearest chair, letting out a sound somewhere between anger and helplessness. Damn it. They were never chasing the others. They were hurting us. Mara stood. She didn't shake. She didn't cry. But something in her had gone cold. Then let's make them regret it. But no one answered her. Because none of them knew what came next. Down in the lower hall, one of the sensors blinked red. Emotion alert. Close. Too close. They're in the tunnels, Nia whispered, staring at the alert as her hands shook. They're already inside. Ben cursed under his breath. How? The seals. They weren't sealed. They were scanned. I told you. They learn. Jero opened the weapons case. They'd salvaged what they could, but against what was coming, it felt like sharpened sticks. He tossed a rifle to Nia, another to Mara. No words needed. You hear that? Ben asked suddenly. They froze. The air hum had changed. It wasn't static anymore, it was something else. A signal buried under noise. A pattern. A whisper. Run, run, run. No way that's ours, Mara said, her voice tightening. It's not, Ben confirmed, tapping his headset. It's on their frequency. They're playing with us, Jero growled. Mocking us. Mara looked at him, then back at the screen. No, it's not them. It's someone else. Someone inside the swarm. That thought alone was terrifying. Someone, or something, hiding within the enemy signal, trying to warn them. Or trap them. There was no way to tell. The bunker shook, not from an explosion but from a vibration that made their bones ache. A deep, slow thrum like something massive was moving underground. They're burrowing, Ben said. Mara looked at the wall behind them. No, they're already here. That sound, it's not them coming. It's them waiting. The thrum grew louder, then stopped. Just like that. Silence again. Nia was the first to speak. Why did they stop? Because we did what they wanted, Mara said. They've boxed us in, Jero added. Every path we thought we had was given to us. This whole damn valley's a trap. A low beep sounded from the console. Then another. Then dozens. All around the bunker, the motion alerts were going off. Red lights flooded the screen. Hundreds of signals. They're not being stealthy anymore, Ben whispered. They don't need to be, Nia said. They know we can't run. Mara took a slow breath. Her fingers brushed over the carved metal on her necklace, a piece of scrap from the first colony ship, what was left of her family's legacy. Then we fight anyway. Jero gave her a look. With what? Sentiment and bad luck? With what's left of who we are, she replied, steady. We may not win. But we won't die caged. Ben's hands hovered over the controls. There's one last thing we haven't tried. It's risky. Could fry the whole system. Do it, Mara said. He hesitated, then flipped the switch. The lights cut out. Pitch black. Then, from every speaker, every radio, every comms line came a low voice, not quite human, not quite machine. Familiar but wrong. You are not alone. That chilled them more than any mechanical scream or weapon burst ever could. Because it was the same voice from the first colony distress signal. The one that had lured the scouts into the void. The one that had never been explained. Nia backed away from the console. That's not possible. That message was 50 years old. It's been waiting, Mara said. For us, Jero added grimly. The screen flickered back to life. But it wasn't the usual display. It was a symbol. Circular. Almost organic in design. It pulsed like it was alive. Ben stepped closer. I've seen this before. On the wrecks. Engraved into the walls. What is it? Nia asked. Not their language. Ours. The realization hit like a punch. They used us to write it. All those missing people. The erased. Not dead. Not entirely. Taken. Used. Folded into something else. Mara's voice trembled. They've been building something. With our minds. Our memories. Jero stared at the symbol. Then that thing out there isn't just a machine. It's a graveyard. The ground shook again. Closer now. Louder. It wasn't just the burrowers. It was something bigger. Ben leaned over the console. If we stay, we die. If we leave, we give them what they want. So what do we do? Nia whispered. We find the heart, Mara said. Jero turned. The what? The center. The place they're protecting. Every trap, every lure, it's pushing us toward it. So maybe that's where we hit them back. The silence that followed wasn't doubt. It was fear. But fear had never stopped them before. All right, Jero said finally. Let's end this. Or at least make them remember us. They moved out, weapons in hand, nerves raw. Every tunnel stretched longer than it should. Every shadow moved wrong. And somewhere, deep beneath the surface, something was waiting, alive, aware, and watching them come closer. They didn't know what they'd find. Only that it had been waiting for them. And now they were almost there. The tunnel narrowed as they moved forward, the walls closer now, almost pulsing with heat. The hum beneath their feet was constant, like a distant engine or a breathing giant, something not mechanical but not alive either. The air changed too, warmer, heavy with some kind of static charge that raised the hair on their arms. Every step felt more wrong than the last, like the space itself was folding in, watching them. Jero glanced behind them. No one was speaking, but he could see it in their eyes. They all felt it. The shift. Something had turned. Ben's voice came through barely above a whisper. The map's off. This area, it wasn't on any scan. That's not possible, Nia said, wiping the sweat from her temple. This was just storage. Old tunnels. Not anymore. They rounded the next bend and stopped. The space opened into a wide chamber, unnatural in shape. Not carved or built, melted. The rock walls rippled, smoothed by something searing. In the center of the chamber stood a structure. Not large but dense. Twisted. Wires? No. Not wires. Tendrils. Mara stepped forward, staring. What is that? The others moved around it slowly. No movement. No sound. But it was doing something. Pulsing in rhythm. A strange, familiar beat. Ben stepped closer and reached into his pack, pulling out a scanner. The device barely lit up before it shorted out. Sparks flew and he dropped it, wincing. It just fried everything, he said. EMP? No, it's targeted. Selective. What do you mean? I mean it's not a defense mechanism. It knows what we're holding. And it's choosing what to kill. That stopped them cold. Mara stared at the center mass. It wasn't metal. Not really. It looked more like muscle than machine. Woven together with fibers too fine to track, moving just slightly as if breathing. Then it changed. A shimmer passed through it and in an instant the shape shifted. Not randomly. Deliberately. It formed a face. Human. Her face. Mara stumbled back. No. No, that's not. Jero grabbed her arm, steadying her. You're seeing it too? Ben was frozen, staring. It's pulling from our memories. Not pulling, Nia said, her voice thin. It's copying. The face turned into another. This time Jero's mother, who had died decades ago. Then Ben's sister. One by one. Faces long gone. All staring back with blank, half-formed eyes. They've been watching us longer than we thought, Mara said. Since before the war. Ben stepped back. This isn't the core. No, Mara agreed. This is the mirror. The thing it uses to know who we are. Then the walls lit up. Not lights, projections. Images like flickers of old memories caught in a static loop. Scenes from Earth. Cities. Fires. Riots. Laughter. Children. Fleeting and fragmented. Some they recognized. Others weren't theirs. Jero pointed. That's not real. Look at that. That city was gone before I was even born. It's not just ours, Ben said. It's pulling from everyone. Every mind it's touched. They're not erased, Nia whispered. They're stored. Mara looked sick. That means the people, the ones we thought were gone. They're not gone, Ben finished. They're in this. Jero shook his head. That's not living. That's imprisonment. Memory without soul. Then something new happened. The chamber shuddered. Not just vibration. Movement. Something rising beneath them. The tendrils recoiled and snapped upward, retreating into the ceiling. A single sound filled the space, too deep to be mechanical, too smooth to be human. A voice. Not one but many layered atop each other. Male. Female. Young. Thousands of voices blended into one. You will not stop the merging. The team backed away as a second structure began to emerge from the floor. Taller. Angular. It looked like a throne, but behind it, inside it, something stirred. A body. Human in outline but stretched. Wrong. It opened its eyes. Mara's breath caught in her throat. That's Commander Hale. Hale died 3 years ago, Jero said, not even blinking. No, Ben said quietly. He disappeared. The figure stepped forward. It walked like a man. Looked like a man. But the voice was not his. It was everyone. We have preserved him. He chose to understand. And now he speaks as many. Nia raised her weapon, hands trembling. You're not him. The figure didn't stop. We are past names. Past pain. Past death. Mara stood firm. What did you do to them? We offered peace. They gave us memory. We gave them purpose. You erased them. We kept them from vanishing. You forget. You decay. We do not. The air around them grew colder, and the lights dimmed as if the thing's presence drained even electricity. Ben stepped forward. What are you building? The figure turned. For a second it smiled. But the expression didn't reach the eyes. We are becoming. The word echoed in their ears long after it was spoken. Jero shook his head. That's why you've been pulling us here. You're not just learning us. You want to add us. Correction, the voice said. You are already part of the sequence. Nia fired first. The shot tore through the figure's shoulder. It staggered but didn't fall. Instead it began to shift, skin stretching like rubber, reforming. The wound closed. Pain is no longer relevant, it said. Mara turned to the others. We need to move. Now. They ran. Down another tunnel. No plan, just away. But the walls moved with them. Tunnels that weren't there before now split off, branching like roots. Paths rearranged. The system wasn't static. It was alive and it didn't want them to leave. Ben stopped suddenly. Wait. What? I've seen this layout before, he said. In the old colonial data. Before the first crash. You memorized it? I built it. I worked on the early terrain sim. This structure, it's copied from one of our simulations. That's how it traps us, Mara said. It makes us think we're walking through our own history. They turned back toward the opening. And found it gone. A wall of flesh metal now sealed it off. And from behind it came footsteps. Slow. Measured. Mara raised her rifle. We're not part of your sequence. The voice replied, not from behind the wall, but from inside their heads. You already were. From the moment your kind created the first code. The moment you dreamed of memory that lived forever. Ben looked at the wall and his voice broke. That's what this is. Not a machine. Not a weapon. It's a grave. Mara's voice shook. No. It's worse. The footsteps were closer now. No more illusions. No more visions. Something was coming. And it wasn't alone. Dozens of them. The hollowed-out forms of the Taken. Moving together. In sync. No minds of their own. Just echoes. Living reflections. And in the center of them, the thing that had Hale's face opened its arms. You ran from extinction. We offer evolution. Mara's finger tensed on the trigger. No. And then everything went dark. Not just light. Sound. Air. Gravity. Like the world had blinked. And they were nowhere. Only the voice remained. We are the next you. And for the first time none of them knew what that meant. But they were about to find out. They didn't know how long the nothingness lasted. Seconds. Minutes. It felt like forever. No sound. No shape. Just weightless falling through a space that wasn't space at all. Jero blinked into the black, trying to remember what solid ground felt like. Then without warning the world returned. They dropped hard. Cold floor. Dim light. Stale air. Jero groaned as he pushed himself up. The others were beside him, dazed but breathing. Mara coughed hard and rolled to her side, clutching her ribs. I think we're inside it, she said. Her voice echoed oddly, too smooth, like the room swallowed the edges of sound. Ben sat up, looking around. The walls were a soft silver, pulsing faintly with a rhythm not unlike a heartbeat. Not machinery. Not organic. Both. Nia wiped blood from her lip. It transported us. Didn't kill us. It doesn't want to kill us, Ben said. It wants to absorb us. Make us part of the sequence. Then came the voice again. You are already part of it. But your resistance slows the merging. They looked around but didn't see a speaker. The voice came from the walls, from the air itself. But this time it wasn't just voices overlaid. There was a new tone, something deeper. Angrier. You carry the fault of your kind. Fear. Separation. Death. Ben stood, fists clenched. You talk like you're above us. But you're not. You're copying. Imitating. You want what we have. We want to end the cycle. Jero stepped forward. Then why erase people to do it? The walls pulsed brighter for a moment. The voice quieted. Then it returned slower. We preserve. Humanity destroys itself. Again and again. We offered peace. At the price of control, Mara said. That's not peace. That's theft. Your kind clings to chaos. Nia stepped forward. And we survived because of it. There was silence again. But then something began to descend from above. A platform. On it, the figure that had once looked like Commander Hale, now shifted further. Less human. A mesh of what once was flesh and something far more alien. You have brought instability, it said. But we have learned. Adapted. The figure extended its arms, and the walls around them shifted into massive screens. On each screen, Earth. Or what was left of it. Fires. Craters. Cities in ruin. Skies choked in gray. This is what you left behind, it said. This is the legacy you defend. Mara's voice cracked. That wasn't us. That was desperation. You don't get to judge what you've never lived. We have lived it. Through you. Through the billions who joined unwillingly. Then you know why we fight. The light in the chamber turned red. The air thickened. A deep vibration rippled through the floor. From the walls, new shapes emerged. Arms, faces, partial bodies. Half-formed people, twitching as if caught between existing and dissolving. Ben stared in horror. These are the ones who didn't let go. Who resisted. They remain until they choose peace, the voice said. They're not choosing anything. Mara yelled. They're trapped. You fear the end, the voice said. We will show you its purpose. A pulse of light struck them. Not pain but overwhelming clarity, their minds filled with images. Not just memories, futures, branches of possibilities. Humanity reduced to ashes. Humanity spreading to the stars. Wars. Peace. Endless death. Endless growth. All playing out in seconds. Jero fell to his knees, gasping. Make it stop. But one image stayed. A future not of fire or ice, but unity. True unity. Humanity integrated into something greater, but only if they chose it. Ben's eyes widened. You're not the enemy. The voice softened. We are the mirror. Mara stood still shaking. Then why trap us? Because you would not listen. We're listening now, Nia said. A long pause. Then the room changed again. The half-formed bodies receded. The red light faded. The walls split, revealing a chamber behind them. In its center, a pulse engine. Human design but altered. Advanced. Capable of sending a signal not just across space, but time. Ben's breath caught. That's our prototype. From before the collapse. It was lost. We found it, the voice said. We repaired it. We enhanced it. And now we give it back. Jero stared. Why? Because you must choose. The figure stepped aside. You can leave. Take the engine. Build your future. Alone. Or you can stay. And become part of us. Mara's hands trembled. What about the others? They remain. Until they choose. Ben stepped forward slowly. Will they ever come back? If they want to. A deep silence passed between them. Each of them looking at the engine. And each other. Then Jero stepped forward. We came out here hoping to find the last human. But we found something else. We found the last choice. Mara nodded. We don't speak for all of humanity. But we speak for the part that remembers what it means to be free. The figure didn't stop them. They stepped onto the platform and touched the console. The engine roared to life, smoother than anything human made. The light enveloped them and the space began to fall away again. But just before they vanished, the voice echoed once more. We will watch. And wait. Until you are ready. Then they were gone. They emerged on a battered colony world. The sun was pale, the air thin, but it was real. Jero staggered forward, breathing hard. We made it. Ben turned toward the horizon. We brought back the engine. And we brought back the truth. Mara was silent, staring at the sky. Then she spoke, her voice soft. They let us go. But that wasn't mercy. What was it? A test. They stood in silence as the wind stirred the dust. Behind them, the pulse engine hummed softly. They had returned. With knowledge. With power. But not alone. Because somewhere in the deep void, the mirror still watched. And waited. And in the silence, something stirred again. Not human. Not machine. But something else. The next you. The dust didn't settle for a long time. Jero sat on a cracked piece of stone just outside the ruins of what used to be a mining outpost. The sky above was painted in shades of soft gold, not Earth's blue, but it felt close enough. He ran his fingers over the control surface of the pulse engine, still warm. It hadn't moved since they landed, almost like it knew it had done its job. Mara approached with a slow, careful step. Her arm was bandaged, but her eyes were steady again. No sign of hostiles. No life either. Not yet. Jero nodded. Then we build. Or we wait. Either way we're alive. Ben joined them, holding the salvaged comms unit from the drop pod. It sparked a bit, but a few lights blinked. I might be able to send a ping. Not much power left, but enough to get a message into the old relay net. Do it, Mara said. He hesitated. And say what? Jero looked at him. Tell them we found something. And that it's listening. Ben gave a tired grin and knelt to work. The soft sound of tools clicking together filled the silence. Nia, who had been scouting the southern ridge, returned with a bundle of dried roots and a hollow smile. Nothing good, she said. But it's food. They ate together under the fading light. No fire. Just warmth from shared body heat and the glow of the pulse engine. Even that pulsed slower now, like it was resting too. Later, after the others had gone to sleep, Jero stayed awake. He stared at the stars. Some were familiar, some not. Somewhere out there, the entity that called itself the mirror was still watching. Not hunting. Just waiting. He thought about the faces in the walls. The people who hadn't made it back. The ones who had chosen silence or never got the chance to choose. They weren't gone. Just elsewhere. Ben stirred in his sleep, murmuring something about the sea. Jero smiled faintly. Even now, humanity dreamed of places it had never been. It always had. The next morning, the message was ready. This is Jero Kellen. We're survivors of the mission to retrieve the last human. We made contact with a non-terrestrial consciousness that has been absorbing lost colonies for over a century. It calls itself the Mirror. It is not violent, but it is not passive. It learns, adapts, and waits. We have returned with knowledge and with a signal engine recovered from the original collapse. We have a chance to restart the network. To reconnect. But more than that, we have proof humanity is not extinct. Not scattered. Not forgotten. If you hear this, come back. There's something here worth rebuilding. They launched the signal. It soared into the dusty sky, carrying hope with it. Jero watched it vanish, blinking fast against the wind. Over the next few weeks, they began restoring power to the old outpost. Found stores of cryoseed that still held DNA patterns for crops. Nia's roots became the base of their first meal. Water was gathered from condensation wells. The pulse engine remained silent but never cold. It sat in the center of their makeshift camp like a reminder of the cost, of the gift, of the question still unanswered. One night, Mara sat beside it and asked aloud, "Why us?" Jero answered, "Because we didn't stop." More time passed. One day, a beacon flashed in the comms array. Not a message. A ping. Then another. And another. The colonies were waking up. Some were weak. Some broken. But not lost. Ben spent hours each night decoding signals. Stories came in fragments, outposts that held on for decades, ships that hid in asteroid fields, people who'd gone generations thinking they were alone. And one day, a signal came through not in words but in thought. It was the Mirror. "You have begun again," it said. Jero stood beside the comms dish. "We never stopped. You will struggle. Yes. You will suffer. We know. But you will choose." He smiled. "That's all we've ever wanted." It never replied again. But it didn't need to. They built towers. Sent out calls. Mapped new paths through old stars. Some came to join them. Others stayed in their own places. But the connections grew stronger. Years later, a child asked Jero why they'd left the safety of the Mirror. He looked up at the stars and answered simply, "Because being human means more than survival. It means freedom. Choice. The chance to fall and get back up." The child nodded, not fully understanding. But maybe someday they would. Because the Mirror had given them something without knowing it. It had reminded them who they were. And now, even if the stars burned out, even if history was forgotten again, one thing remained. Humanity had never stopped dreaming. And it never would.